Hey guys, it's Martin Cliffe from Voyager Project here again. Welcome to another episode of Martin's Rhythm Method. Now, I've been spending most of the last couple of weeks recording tracks for our new album. So there's a couple of things that I've picked up that I thought I would share with you about recording, but about rhythm playing in general and good musicianship really. The key to being a successful rhythm player, the most important thing, is timing. But the ability to play in time, whether that's playing to a click track when you're recording, or with your fellow musicians in a band, or even just playing along with a CD or whatever, just to build your chops up, is vitally important. I've talked about it in the past, but how do we get good timing? Well, for me, one of the key ways to do that is using rhythmic subdivisions. What I mean by that is that you just take a steady pulse. Now, if you've got a metronome or a drum machine, brilliant, use that. If not, find a drum loop or something. And first of all, just find something that's slow, take it slow, and just try playing one stroke on the beat. So that may at first beat, if we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. And just try and keep it bang on time, so and then from there, what do? Try playing two subdivisions, dividing it into 2 strokes per beat. So at the same speed, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've taken our beat, we've divided it into 2. Let's divide it into 3 next. So now we're playing what's called triplets over the top of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And at that speed it should be comfortable to do that all just using downstrokes, which will give you more consistent attack. Try and keep it so that your pick attack is the same and bang on the beat. Maybe you've got a drum machine or a metronome that will do subdivisions for you, so try and keep it dead tight. Okay, so that's divided by 3. Now let's look at dividing it by 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can take that as far as you want. 5 is a little bit tricky, takes a bit of getting your head around, but 6 is fairly easy. 2, 3, 4. Then, once you've got all your timing down, all your subdivisions down at that tempo, just up the tempo a little bit and try playing that at a different speed. Sometimes, if you want to really test your timing, set a really slow tempo, something like 60 beats a minute, somewhere around there, and just try and play rock solid. That will really enhance your rhythm playing and make it much easier to lock in with a drummer, no matter what kind of music you play. Of course, the other main key I would say about recording, ignoring sound, ignoring technique, ignoring any of these things, is make sure your guitar is in tune. I was finding I was having to check my tuning on my guitar every 2 or 3 takes. Partly because a lot of the rhythm parts I was playing were quite heavy, so they do put strain on the strings, but just for my own confidence to know that everything was going to sound good. Once you've got guitars in tune, you can add chorus or detune effects to make them sound thicker and less in tune, but it's very, very difficult to get an out of tune guitar to sound in tune. So if you've got a tuner, I've got a rack tuner in my studio, a Korg DCR 1000, so I can use that to check that my guitar is really accurately in tune when I'm recording. Once you record something, it's on your hard disk or your tape machine or whatever forever, or until you delete it, so it's important that everything is bang in tune. Another recording tip that is really important and isn't always something you think about if you're playing with another guitarist or you're double tracking in the studio, so it's not just for recording, it works for live too, think about your guitar sounds. If you're recording multiple tracks, multiple takes of the same guitar sound, or if the other guitarist in your band has the same guitar sound as you, it's going to sound muddy and indistinct very easily. It's much better to just pick a different sound, whether that's backing off the gain, using a different amplifier, a different pickup. If you've got a coil tap, kick that in. That works really well. Now, for some of the heavier tracks I recorded with Voyager Project, I didn't want to be cutting back in terms of the intensity, so what I would do is record a guitar track and pan it left, and a guitar track and pan it right. Now, a good example of doing that is a song from the album called Free to Love, and it's a very chord-based, power chord-based pattern. But what I did was I recorded one take using the crunch channel on my JSX, and then panned that on one side and recorded another take using the crunch channel on my XXX, which is set for a much heavier sound, and then I blended the two together to give me a much thicker sound, much more interesting sound, much bigger guitar sound. Only 2 tracks of guitar in this case, but on one track I had a slightly less gainy sound with a bit more mids and a bit more definition, and then the heaviness came on the other side, and listened to with headphones or in any stereo source, it just really gives a bigger sound. Okay, so the rhythm pattern, at the moment I'm on the JSX, and it's just a very simple when I came to double it then, all I did was I switched across to my XXX, and that on its own sounds a bit like this. Okay, so that's a much more high gain, more metal sound, but the two sounds mixed together really contributed well to making a great guitar sound that was big and spacious, but very, very tight. You'll notice there's no reverb or echo or anything on that sound. It's just the guitar into the amplifier, but recording the 2 takes just really lifted the guitar sound. And in the same way live, in my previous metal band that I was in, Fallen Angel, there were 2 of us playing guitar. The other guitarist used an ESP Eclipse into a Mesa Boogie, so I needed to go for a sound that was a little different from that. So I went for the PVs, which are slightly more Marshall voiced, so they've got a little bit more mid-range, a little bit less low end, and then the Ibanez guitars in combination with the Damasio pickups and then into the PV amps just gave me a distinct sound that was still heavy and still big, but it meant that the 2 of us playing together didn't sound like 2 people trying to play the same sounds. It made us sound distinct, so people could tell which of us was playing a solo or which rhythm part, and it blended together to give a much bigger sound than if we both used active pickup guitars into Mesa Boogies, which I see a lot of bands doing. It may not be the sound that you would go for on your own, but you need to take all your sounds into consideration with what else is going on in the band or in the recording. Okay, I hope you found those few tips useful in making you a better rhythm guitar player, both for recording and for when you're playing live with a band. Just before I go, I want to say a big hello to a couple of new subscribers we've got. Please do continue to watch my videos. Some of the unmastered songs from the recording are already up on my MySpace profile and on my Facebook fan page, so please give them a visit. And take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time.